Blake Lively has backed down on major subpoena demands, while Justin Baldoni just landed a massive win in court. So is this the beginning of the end for Blake? Stick around because the receipts are coming in, and trust me, this is not looking good for her. Hollywood courtroom battles don't get much bigger than this. And in a shocking twist, Blake Lively just backed down on a huge part of her subpoena demands. After weeks of aggressive legal back and forth, Lively's team has officially withdrawn their requests for data logs, multimedia files, and even cell site location information from Justin Baldoni and his associates. That's right, no more demands to track where Baldoni's phone has been, no more deep dives into years of data. But don't get it twisted. While she's taken a step back, she is not walking away completely. What's still on the table? Call and text logs. That means Blake's legal team still wants to see every call, every message, and every number Baldoni and his associates have been in contact with. This is a huge sticking point because Baldoni's lawyers are calling it a massive violation of privacy, arguing that it has nothing to do with the case and is just a desperate fishing expedition. Imagine having 2.5 years of your phone records laid out for lawyers to analyze. Who you called, how often, when, and for how long. That's what Lively is pushing for, and Baldoni's team is not having it. Brian Friedman, Baldoni's powerhouse attorney, just filed a motion to quash the subpoena entirely. In legal terms, that means he's demanding the judge shut it down and rule that Blake Lively has no right to this information. He argues that the request is wildly invasive, unnecessary, and honestly, straight up dangerous. Friedman pointed out that Lively's team could use a simple online reverse phone lookup to identify every single person Baldoni or his team has talked to, whether that's doctors, lawyers, family members, or even unrelated industry contacts. He's basically calling this a full-blown harassment tactic. So why did Blake Lively suddenly back down on those other subpoenas? Some insiders say it's because her team knows they overplayed their hand and don't want the judge ruling against them completely. Others think this could be a strategic retreat, letting go of some demands to make their remaining ones, like those text logs, look more reasonable in comparison. Either way, make no mistake, this is a big win for Baldoni. The more Lively is forced to scale back, the weaker her legal case looks. And here's the cherry on top. Baldoni's team is arguing that even if the subpoena is narrowed down, it's still too broad and violates case law. They've brought up past court rulings where judges rejected similar overreaching discovery requests, saying personal phone records are not fair game unless there's a clear and specific reason. In other words, Baldoni's team is not just fighting back, they're winning. So what does this mean for Blake? Well, let's just say the optics aren't great. She's been relentlessly pushing for as much dirt on Baldoni as possible, but every time she overreaches, the court pushes back, and that makes her look desperate. Some legal analysts are already speculating that she might be losing confidence in her own case and could even be preparing for a settlement. And trust me, if that happens, it would be a humiliating blow for her. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to talk about the lawsuits themselves. Because if you thought this subpoena battle was messy, wait until you hear what's happening with their defamation war. Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist is explosive, and it could change everything. If you thought the subpoena drama was wild, buckle up, because the lawsuits between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni have officially turned into an all-out war. On one side, Blake Lively just expanded her lawsuit, bringing in new allegations against Baldoni, claiming his behavior on the set of It Ends With Us made multiple women uncomfortable. On the other, Baldoni is hitting back hard, with a $400 million countersuit against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and their powerhouse publicist, Leslie Sloan. This isn't just about legal fees anymore. This is a full-scale Hollywood battle for power, reputation, and careers. Let's start with Blake's updated lawsuit. Originally, she was focused on allegations that Baldoni and his PR team worked behind the scenes to discredit her, allegedly running a coordinated smear campaign against her in the press and on social media. But now, she's upping the ante. Two unnamed actresses from the It Ends With Us set are reportedly willing to testify that Baldoni's behavior made them uncomfortable. Her team has even submitted text messages from 2023 as evidence, allegedly proving that Baldoni knew people on set were uneasy around him. Sounds like a big deal, right? Not so fast. Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, is calling these allegations underwhelming and desperate. He argues that Lively is throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks. And legally speaking, it might not be enough. Think about it. Lively hasn't actually produced any direct evidence of misconduct from Baldoni, just claims that people felt uncomfortable. In Hollywood, where where power dynamics are always at play, that's a very weak legal argument on its own. But let's talk about Baldoni's countersuit, because this is where things get nuclear. Baldoni isn't just suing Blake. He's going after Ryan Reynolds and their high-profile publicist, Leslie Sloan, for defamation, civil extortion, and invasion of privacy. And the number attached to the lawsuit? A jaw-dropping $400 million. His argument? Blake and Ryan used their industry power to take control of It Ends With Us and launched a smear campaign against him when he didn't comply. And Baldoni's not just making claims, he's backing them up with receipts. In a shocking move, Baldoni has just launched a public website to release unseen messages between himself, Blake, and Ryan. According to his team, these texts and emails prove that Lively and Reynolds orchestrated a media hit job against him. If that's true, it could completely flip public opinion on this case. Because let's be real, Hollywood is all about image, and if Baldoni proves he was set up, Lively could go from victim to villain overnight. So, who's winning right now? Let's break it down. Lively has gained some traction by adding new allegations, but her case is still based on vague claims rather than solid evidence. Meanwhile, Baldoni has actual documentation, a massive countersuit, and the court already siding with him on multiple legal disputes. Right now, it looks like he's in a stronger position, and if the judge throws out Blake's subpoena demands entirely, it could be the final blow to her case. But there's one more factor we have to talk about: the public backlash. Because no matter what happens in court, Hollywood is watching. And trust me, the tide is turning against Blake Lively fast. In Hollywood, winning the court of public opinion can sometimes be just as important as winning in an actual courtroom. And right now, Blake Lively is losing ground, fast. What started as an explosive case with Blake positioned as the wronged woman has taken a dramatic turn against her, and fans, media outlets, and even pop culture insiders are starting to question her credibility. One of the biggest turning points? The subreddit meltdown. At the start of this legal war, social media was overwhelmingly on Blake's side. Major pop culture subreddits and celebrity gossip accounts were fully backing her, blasting Baldoni as a manipulative industry player. But now, even her former supporters are starting to distance themselves. Online discussions are shifting, and users who once defended her are now openly questioning her motives. One of the biggest red flags for fans has been the hypocrisy of Blake's business moves. 6 months ago, she was actively promoting her alcohol brand, Betty Buzz, during the early marketing push for It Ends With Us. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, It Ends With Us is a film about domestic violence, and alcohol abuse is a major theme in the story. Fans were quick to point out that Blake, a woman who has repeatedly stated she doesn't even drink alcohol, was more than happy to cash in on a booze brand while promoting a movie centered on abuse and trauma. The optics are bad, and people are calling it performative activism at its worst. One viral tweet put it perfectly. So let me get this straight. Blake Lively doesn't drink, but she'll sell alcohol to make a profit, and she's promoting it during a movie about DV? Make it make sense. But that's not even the biggest issue she's facing right now: threats, harassment, and legal panic. As the legal battle gets nastier, Blake Lively has officially requested a stronger protective order, citing an increase in violent threats. Her team claims that ever since Baldoni launched his website with leaked texts and evidence, she's been flooded with hate messages, some even containing violent threats. This raises a big question. Is she a victim of online toxicity, or is this damage control to sway public sympathy? While it's never okay for anyone, celebrity or not, to receive threats, some media insiders believe this move is strategic. By shifting focus to safety concerns, Blake's team can try to pull attention away from the crumbling legal case and back onto her as a victim. And let's be real, Hollywood loves an underdog story. If she frames herself as being targeted unfairly, it could help shift the narrative in her favor. But will it actually work? Right now, things aren't looking good. More and more legal analysts believe she's fighting a losing battle, and industry insiders are whispering that she might be forced to settle. If that happens, it would be a massive public embarrassment. It would mean that all of this, the subpoenas, the lawsuits, the media war, was for nothing. And worst of all, it could permanently damage her career. But here's the real question. Would settling even be enough, or has the damage already been done? Because the truth is, Justin Baldoni isn't just defending himself, he's going for the win. And if he gets everything he's asking for, Blake Lively could be forced to issue a public apology and drop her claims entirely. But is she willing to swallow her pride and walk away? Or is this just the calm before the storm? One thing's for sure, Hollywood is watching every move. The legal chess match between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has taken a sharp turn. And now, insiders are buzzing about a possible settlement. With the court already pushing back on some of her legal demands, the public turning against her, and Baldoni standing firm, people are starting to ask, is Blake preparing to surrender? Let's break it down. Right now, Blake Lively is stuck in a dangerous position. She can either 1. Continue fighting in court, hoping that her new witnesses and allegations will sway the judge and the public in her favor. 2. Cut her losses and settle before this completely destroys her reputation. And let's be real, option 2 is looking more and more likely. Legal experts say that Baldoni's $400 million defamation countersuit is a major pressure point. If Blake loses in court, she could be looking at one of the biggest celebrity legal defeats in Hollywood history. That's not just money, that's career killing. A settlement might be the only way for her to walk away with some dignity. But here's the real question. What does a settlement even look like? If she settles, she's not getting out of this clean. Baldoni's team isn't just looking for money. They want a full retraction. Sources close to the case suggest that any settlement deal would likely require Blake officially withdrawing her allegations, a public apology to Baldoni, Ryan Reynolds, and their PR team, a gag order, meaning Blake and her team would be legally blocked from ever discussing this case again. That last part? That would be brutal. Blake Lively has built her brand on outspoken feminism and empowerment. If she publicly retracts her claims, it would be a career-crippling humiliation. Imagine the headlines. Blake Lively admits she was wrong, issues apology to Justin Baldoni. That's not just bad PR, that's a death sentence in Hollywood circles. Of course, Blake could ignore the settlement talks and take this all the way to trial. But here's the problem. She doesn't have the upper hand anymore. Baldoni's leaked texts paint a very different picture than what Blake originally claimed. His team is aggressively shutting down her legal moves, and at this point, her case is losing steam. If she refuses to settle and pushes forward to the 2026 trial, she risks losing everything, being ordered to pay damages to Baldoni, having all of her claims legally dismissed in court. And if that happens, Hollywood won't forget. What Hollywood insiders are saying. Industry sources are already whispering that Lively's PR team is in full panic mode. Her legal team is scrambling to figure out if they can still win this fight, or if they need to get out while they still can. One major insider even claimed, if Blake was confident, she wouldn't have backed down on those subpoenas. She's losing ground and she knows it. So what's next? Will Blake cut a deal and walk away quietly? Or is she about to throw the biggest legal Hail Mary Hollywood has ever seen? Either way, one thing is clear, Justin Baldoni is not backing down. After months of back-and-forth legal warfare, PR disasters, and shocking allegations, one thing is crystal clear. Justin Baldoni is walking away from this battle in a much stronger position than anyone expected. While Blake Lively came out swinging, determined to expose Baldoni and bring him down, her case has gradually lost steam, and now it's looking like she's running out of moves. So, let's break it down. Who's really winning? Baldoni has successfully blocked some of Blake's most invasive subpoenas. He's positioned himself as the real victim with a $400 million defamation countersuit. He's turned public opinion in his favor by exposing contradictions in Blake's case. The court has already started rejecting broad discovery requests from Lively's team. He's leaked text messages, emails, and receipts that weaken Blake's narrative. Blake Lively, on the other hand, has taken multiple losses. She's backed down on key subpoena requests. She's facing growing skepticism from the public and even former supporters. Her new witnesses haven't brought the smoking gun she desperately needs. She's reportedly receiving pressure from within Hollywood to settle. From a legal standpoint, Baldoni is winning. But what about Hollywood? Now, here's where things get interesting. Even if Blake somehow drags this fight all the way to court, she may have already lost where it matters most, her public image. For years, Blake has been seen as a Hollywood sweetheart, beloved for her work, her relationship with Ryan Reynolds, and her cool girl image. But this lawsuit, it's exposed cracks in that persona. The Betty Buzz alcohol controversy made her look money-hungry and out of touch. Her legal overreach has alienated some of her biggest supporters. Her once loyal fan base is starting to turn on her, questioning her motives. And the worst part? If she settles, she'll look like she was never confident in her case to begin with. Hollywood hates weak optics. The second a star starts losing credibility, their career takes a hit. And unfortunately for Blake, that's exactly what's happening right now. What happens next? The big question is, will Blake finally give up? Here's what's on the table. She settles quietly. She issues an apology, drops her lawsuit, and agrees to move on. This would be the smartest move legally, but a PR nightmare. It would signal to everyone that she lost. She pushes for trial. If she fights all the way to March 2026, she's risking a courtroom defeat that could bankrupt her and destroy her career. This is the biggest gamble she could take. She leaks more information. Some believe Blake might try a last-ditch effort to turn the tide. either leaking damaging information about Baldoni or trying to expose new witnesses. But at this point, that might just make things worse. Whatever she chooses, time is running out. Right now, Justin Baldoni is walking away from this fight in a stronger position than ever. He outmaneuvered Blake legally, controlled the narrative, and built a powerful case against her. And while Blake isn't completely out yet, her legal case is unraveling, her PR strategy is failing, and Hollywood is watching her next move very, very closely. So, what do you think? Is Blake Lively finally going to surrender, or is she gearing up for a last-minute twist? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more updates, because this Hollywood war is far from over.